Hey everyone, I'm Sean Walker from iTrain Hockey. Look what we've got here. We've got Pavel Barber here joining us. We're going to learn under him. Mainly we'll talk about lots of stick handling and deke moves and trick moves and such together. We're just so thrilled to have you. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope you guys all enjoy the video.
Let's go. Pleasure to be here, bro.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite warm-up drills, just 3 pucks, just because you get a lot of touches on the forehand and backhand, just getting them around, soft touches in the middle, weaving that puck around, just getting those hands warm, kind of like, you know, Crosby like stick handling around that M logo or whatever, just getting used to getting those touches. And I always start looking directly down at the puck, and then eventually I kind of want to get to the point where I'm head up going around these things, just using my peripherals to get in and around these pucks, whatever it is.
I love that.
So, yeah,
beautiful.
It's just a nice simple warm up, get the hands going, you know?
I love it. There's so many times where you're stick handling in between sticks and feet and such, and so putting the puck into that space where it's open, obviously it completely makes sense. I love that. It's really great. When you're stick handling with your head down, are you looking at, not your puck, but are you looking at the other pucks, or are you looking at the spaces in between the pucks as like maybe the first segment before getting your head up? Right?
Initially, if I'm like just getting warmed up, I'm looking right at the puck. And obviously we don't want to stay here. We don't want to like do this, but just to get used to, like, you know, hitting the right part of the blade, you know, getting used to, you know, just getting those hands warm and making the contact point where you want. And then ideally you want to play like you would in games, which would be, if you're in traffic, you're kind of looking at the spaces you want to get to. So you see the puck in your peripherals, but I'm looking there. Right? So it's all circumstantial, right? Like if I'm in a traffic area, I actually don't want to be like this.
Right.
You know, I want to see the relative information, so I'll be looking at the space, whatever it is. And then sometimes like I like to go like after a move is made, quick scan up, and then kind of same thing, looking at the space ahead, quick scan up, whatever it is. You know, I think it's all just like about seeing the relative information, seeing what's most important in that time frame.
Yeah, it's so cool to see even just your eyes, how aware you are of everything that's happening around you.
We used to do things like, you know, when I was growing up, where we'd have guys like holding numbers up or whatever it is. It's super fun. Like, it's just like, because now it's not just, you know, you being aware, it's like you haven't actually called out a number. You know, it's like you're seeing if a pass is even available, whatever it is, and then going back to your stick handling, so you're forced to look up, and then sometimes you'd have to do math, so that'd be a step above, so which I'm terrible at. I failed math, applied math, embarrassing. But it's like, you know, now you're not just scanning and looking up and reacting, now you're actually processing, which is like at high speeds and whatever. That's the thing that separates the best in the world, is their brain is processing at such a high speed while their motor skills are moving at a high speed. You know, Kane, everyone marvels at his hands, but it's really his brain. He sees the play develop before it develops, because he kind of trains that way.
Yeah, dude. Oh, so cool, so cool. When you're stick handling, let's say just in tight, how I teach it is basically, I'll say, imagine as if your blade is only this big, the rest of your blade is sort of pretty much off of the ice. When you want it in tight, we make like a little bit of a correction where we go from here, where thumb sort of points down, to like here, where you maybe just have a little bit more hand movement. And then what I'll teach is touches on the heel, and just like little touches. Would you teach the same sort of thing, or would you say full blade should be on the ice? Or...
No, I'm same way. Like my whole thing is like, if we're in the middle of our body here, the alignment of the blade is like this. And what happens is when you rotate forehand, the full blade comes on the ice. What people don't know is if you're in the middle like this, if your full blade's on the ice in the middle, if when you rotate, now the heel's off the ice. Right? So that's why, you know, you look at the alignment of the stick and you have the toe in the air, is that, you know, backhand, we only need the heel, so we don't need it to fall flat. And forehand, when we rotate, we want the full blade to fall flat. And then this actually makes it far easier to grab it in that toe.
For sure.
If you go straight from heel to toe, it's unbelievably easy, because it's prepared right away, especially you got the big whip like this. I use a P28, but it just makes it a lot easier. And then that alignment of the stick, I always teach, I'll show it to you later, but a line drill, and it's just keeping the hands off the body, right? So if I'm stick handling and I'm moving forwards, right? With this alignment, I'm able to keep the puck moving forward off the body.
Yeah.
If I had that top hand too high, suddenly I'm not moving it forward. That's going to depend on the lie of your stick as well. But, you know, basic rule of thumb is you want to have that toe a little bit off the ice in that center portion of your stick handling.
And pushed like arms sort of off the body.
Yeah, off the body to a point where you're functional. So like, you know, my whole thing is like, you know, we don't want them like this to the point where our stick handling and our shooting and passing would be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I want to be able to basically stick handle with that hand in a spot where that pass is super easy.
Yeah.
And that stick handling's easy. And if I was going to like take a shot from that, you know, position, to me, everything's all about functionality within your move set. Your deception is always the options you have within your stick handling.
Yeah.
So if you have more options as your stick handling, you're more of a threat. It's not just like this with the body.
Yeah.
It's just having options throughout your movements.
Yeah. It's so cool because I'll see NHLers and see any pros with their arms off their body, and they'll teach, okay, definitely we'll have more options, but just in the way that you're phrasing it, it's just so much more engaging and easy to understand. And the reason why we would do that definitely have to be something, if you don't mind, I'll teach you my own.
Yeah, absolutely,
too,
man.
Including the drill, the stick handling drill.
Yeah. Take anything,
we'll
man.
sometimes do something like that. It's so important, and just the way that you taught it with such deep awareness, it's really cool.
And you'll see like Kane again, going back to the lie, is like, so with a lie of 7, you can actually have the hand close to the body because there's more of the blade on the ice closer to your feet. So so important if you're a kid. There's probably not many lie 7s on the market for retail, but just know your lie, because that's going to factor into how much blade's on the ice in tight to the body. Kane likes to stick handle a lot in here because it's more protected. He would have the full blade on the ice here. I just wouldn't because of my lie, right? So it's all dependent on that as well.
Okay, so cool. How did you learn all this? Was this all just experience and trial and error?
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
Obviously along the way with floorball, obviously as well too. Like, is this something that just came through trial and error, or something where you're like you've been taught it along the way?
When we grew up, no one taught it. Like hands were like you either have it or you don't kind of thing. And like they teach shooting and skating, and no one taught hands. I think it was just like too new. Many people didn't know how to teach it, so it wasn't really. It was just lack of experience. So. I grew up, I was obsessed with that, so I'd clip every shift he had, and I was always obsessed with how crafty he was. Because he didn't have like crazy fast hands like Kane was, but he had such a deceptive way of stick handling to where you didn't know where he was going to go next. And I was trying to like uncover what made that. So when he did that first ever Datsuk move, I remember downloading it on LimeWire, watching it like 47,000 times, still not knowing what he did. And it's just like, I'd break it down, and then I'd go on the ice, I'd do it myself, I'd see how foolish I looked, I'd go back, retry it again. And so much of it was trial and error and just seeing what worked, and then trying to apply that to a game too. Because some things work in like, you know, practicing, it's like, oh, I can do this consistently. It's like, okay, but now how about under pressure? How about if you have options? Is this hindering my ability to make other plays? Is this practical in any way? I'm always obsessed with like application of move sets. I think that's like the main thing you want to teach kids is like, you know, you can be so good at just doing the skill, but then being able to read the situation where the skill is most likely to be used, that's like the difference maker. Right?
Oh, so cool. When you're running your camps yourself, they're mostly focused on stick handling, I imagine. But
so
you'll fly.
We'll do like a control on puck control skills. I see where the level's at within their abilities. If, like we basically say, if you're coming to my camp, you need to have a great foundation of edge work and skating underneath you. Because everything's built on that platform. So like I specify in puck control. I know the most important skill is by far skating and edge work and those abilities. So if they don't have that fundamental skating and edge work underneath them, we'll do a lot of skating without pucks. When I see them not be able to do the stick handling and their edge work suffers, then we'll lose the pucks, revisit the edge work and stuff. So it's like even just a basic drill, like you know, when you see guys just like doing like C cuts, like which is so important on like front fakes. When you see them, they can do that, then they add a puck to it, and suddenly don't hear that ice. They're not going anymore. And that's just because we're multitasking. Now we're chewing gum and walking at the same time, right? We're doing you know, it's more difficult. So now it's like, you know, they can do the skating, they can actually do the stick handling, but now combining the two is tough. So it's so important to constantly have progressions and regressions based on kind of where they're at.
I love that. When we do a stick handling drill, sometimes I'll get the players just to do basic stick handling. We'll do it standing still, and now we're going to do it in motion. And we'll just go ahead and do C-cuts. And you're totally right. We don't hear their C-cuts anymore. We just focus on the hands. And my old speech is, the objective is obviously to get the puck down the ice. How do we do that? Everyone yells out, you know, use your arms. And I'm like, no, you got to use the legs. Like, that's what actually helps transport. We'll have the saying that if it sounds good in hockey, then it is good. And so make sure your C-cuts are sounding nice and loud. And so we're teaching similar things, or if not the same things, but it's just like, here's my way of teaching it, and here's how I know players will most be engaged by it, and most be able to hear it, and so it's so
it's
cool.
wicked.
So,
like, we have a saying where we basically say to kids, like, at the start of the camp, if you're a phenomenal stick handler and a below average skater, you're not going to really get anywhere. If you're a phenomenal skater and a below average stick handler, you can actually get somewhere. So it's just so much more important. And the foundation, it's always ground up. All the moves you do is always going to be dependent on how good your edge work is underneath them. The edge work, the ability to move off the check, the ability to accelerate out of it, whatever it is. You know, you look at guys like Quinn Hughes walking the line, and that's all his skating. Like, he's literally dangling with his feet, and the puck is secondary. Right? And it's so many of the times, it's not, they don't have move sets other people don't have. They just do those simple basics more deceptively, that skating, edge work, and whatever it is, they do it better. And the puck handling a lot of the time is very basic. But it's just like their ability to move with that puck and just like fake a pass or whatever and spin off is second to none.
When I grew up, I had tons of speed and skating was my thing, but I couldn't control the puck at that speed. And so it wasn't until maybe I was 14 or 15 where my coaches were finally like, Sean, slow down. Like, slow down your skating. Just focus on the hands, focus on head up, and more hockey IQ. And then in those years, I just became a smarter hockey player and a better hockey player. And I only used my speed when I really had to. Being able to control the puck at top end speed. Any suggestions on that? Is there starting, like, how I'll teach a player is if they're in the same sort of position, I'll say, I was in that same position too. Let's do it slowly in motion. Handling drill, whatever it is, a toe drag, something. Or sorry, standing still. We'll do it a little bit faster. And then once we've progressed from there and you're feeling confident, then okay, now let's do it slow in motion with slow hands. And then slow in motion with fast hands. And then fast in motion with fast hands. Then do it up against a pylon, and then do it up against a player in your practice, a teammate. Once you've reached all those stages, now I'll go ahead and apply it in your games. And I was like, balls to the wall, forget it. Let's just like do it before. And now I'm like, okay, no, this is my progression. It works for me. How about you? Any suggestions? on
like
that?
If I could use your stick for a sec. So one of the main things, like, I'll show you from the side here. So I'll do the line drill, and this is like the most important thing for just like keeping the puck off the body when you rotate the blade. So, you know, the main goal is to be able to stationary stick handle and keep this puck off the body. So instead of it coming back into that stick, keeping it off. So the most common reason it'll come back is always the backhand, and it's over rotation. So, you know, if you're trying to keep it off the body, you want to stay beside the puck with the blade. What a lot of kids do, they do this. They come over the top, and it's always the backhand that's the culprit, right? So we do the line drill a lot, and we tell them heavy emphasis on the backhand. A lot of it's due to, you'll see, like, I separate, like, this is forehand side here, this is middle of my body, and this is backhand side. A lot of kids don't actually get to their backhand side, right? Just because it's weaker, it's all weaker. Even if you're strong in your backhand, we're all stronger on our forehand. So we tell kids, you know, like, allow it to go to the backhand, rotate that blade, and then we're just going side to side. And this is like the stationary one. You can add like little touches there, whatever, because this just teaches them rotationally how to rotate the blade in order to keep it off the body from a stationary. Now if we're moving, now I need the puck to move forward. I can't do what I just did there, because now if I just went side to side, I would obviously overskate it. Exactly. So now I need it to move forwards on little diagonals. So I actually want it to move kind of like that, right? And then we just kind of do that. And now it's like, instead of being here, we're kind of a little bit behind the puck and beside it, right? And again, trying to let it go to the backhand. And then we're just shifting the weight accordingly. Puck goes side to side. Puck always moving forward. And again, I judge my effectiveness within these moves by the abilities I have to shoot past stick handle in those set positions. So if I'm here, right, I want to be able, to actually rip a pass there, right? And same thing if I'm here, right? I want to be able to actually pass it. So we teach kids always like that. It's just shifting the weight, staying in a glide, whatever it is, and then we'll move to just C cuts. Same kind of thing. Puck is off the body, moving side to side, all that. And then once we get better, then we'll start skating with that puck. So now we'll like actually get into stride. And when I teach the stride, I try to teach synchronicity between the hands and the feet. So if I'm taking the stride, the push off of that leg, that's when I take that stick handle. So I'm not waiting for the other to catch up. So if I go slow, this won't look like good, but if I go slow, it'll just be like stride, stick handle. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. And it just allows you to be in full control of that puck. My whole thing is like when you move fast, your hands shouldn't have to move fast. Your feet should be, if you're at high speed, stick handling shouldn't have to be that quick. Unless you're like, you know, going from a high speed and you're like making a quick handle and evasive move. But when you're at like your top speed, you'll notice like Eric Carlson's really good at this. His hands aren't moving crazy fast, his feet are, but it's pretty basic, the stick handling he has there. Because if I see kids try to rush the stick handling on the stride, they don't actually take a full stride. And it kind of looks like this, where they're like that, and you know, just kind of everything's out of control, everything's slower. The hands are moving, you know, faster, but the feet aren't even getting the full stride out of it.
When I'll teach it, so it'll be sort of similar, talking about stick handling with his feet and using his feet now more.
Is that Jack or?
Jack, sorry, And they showed the example of him like popping his toes. And then obviously for more lateral movement, I guess you'd pop your, be on the heels and pop your toes. And then the other one's the opposite, more. How I'll teach it is slip a toe for something sort of quick and swift if you're trying to step around a player. And pop a heel if your focus is more on a C-cut or a lateral movement. And then obviously we would teach it in stride as well too, adding the sort of stop and a drag of a toe for like a bit of stability and a bit of a spring to your step and a change of direction. So we'll, just as you said, we won't do this and then this, but we'll go together and together. And then the first step was, just as you said, just getting that like same time, and sometimes we'll even do the opposite. The opposite just to get a bit of swag.
So important. It's really important to be able to do that. Like, also like separate, like, you know, have the puck go the opposite way of the body for sure. Not when you're just like basic in-stride stick handling, but on certain move fakes for sure. Like you got to be able to separate lower body from the upper, have them go opposite ways and stuff.
I try to think about how a basketball player might be dribbling and adding some swagger to it. And I'm like, okay, like what can we do to just basically translate that into a hockey form?
A lot of crossover. Like
exactly.
You look at how long it took hockey to get away from the whole, that's too fancy for the between the legs, and realize, bro, like basketball players do it all the time. It has a function, has an application, it's just protective. Right?
Exactly.
So like I always tell people, like, you know, that between the legs move, if you're a defender on me, right, I'll use that move in situations like this. Right? Because normally I would do this move if I'm like this, it would just go in front of my body if I had the space afforded to me. But if I'm tight like this and I need extra protection, you know, we're doing that, and it's just funny. It's just like, it's always just fighting labels of things online. I totally understand, because I'm part of the problem when I do like trick shots, but people got to be able to discern between like what is a trick shot and has zero application versus what actually does. And like Michigan's probably the best example of one where people for the longest time labeled it like showboat, too fancy, and it's like, but it's an elevated wraparound.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, if there's better options, you shouldn't be making a Michigan attempt, make that pass. But if there aren't any, and you're well practiced within the move, it's an applicable move with a high success rate, and that's why we're seeing more of that.
Where the game's evolving anyways, naturally. More of a lacrosse move or something, that sort of style. So it'll be interesting to see, like in 10 years, remember Crosby and old baggy sweatshirts and you know, baggy jerseys and such, and you know, playing more of a fundamental style. And now there's in tight corners with Celebrini doing this and that in between the legs, and so it's cool to see in 10 years. Any suggestions on like what you think, how much more an applicable Michigan might be, or where you think the game's going to be going. Like, are there any moves or any drills? What I've been focusing on in my own game is, instead of just like a stop and keeping it in the front pocket, I'll like pull it into the back pocket. So at the same time as I'm stopping on this foot, I'm bringing it into this, and then doing the same and bringing it back. And with my own hands, just getting better and better as they go, especially that I'm doing more and more camps and I'm teaching more. That's something that I'm just trying to protect, like puck protection, keep it close to your body to protect. And
obviously we're going to see more Michigans and whatever. You know, I actually have never taught it at a camp, just because you go down the priority list of moves. I tell kids at the start, like, they always ask, like, oh, can we Michigan? I'm like, if we have extra time, but it's just not a high priority skill. Good to be able to do whatever. We'll probably see more of it. But I think, same as you're kind of saying, it's just like a lot of moves, just like defenders getting better, gaps are shrinking, anything in the pocket or tight to the feet, being able to stick handle like that, like along the boards. Like I love teaching just like this one, you know, being able to, you know, do those. It's so unbelievably important. And then just back facing defender, how to get front facing defender. So like if I'm like back face to you, how do I do a move, shake you, so that we can get, you know, front facing and whatever. Because, you know, I think it's like something like 80% of the game, not at the young level, but at the NHL level, is like 3 feet from the board. So you got to be so unbelievably good catching rim passes, passes along the boards, weaving off the boards, cycling along the boards, stuff like that. Really works so often board side, and then obviously you got to have a good amount of time in the prime ice, but you got to get there first, right? So much of that comes from the boards, like either like kicking pucks off your feet right to the stick, like that. That was that Four Nations goal is all Marner, just kick off the feet right to McDavid. It's like those things got to be snappy. And you got to be comfortable under pressure now. I do a lot of private lessons. I get involved a lot in adding pressure, but I tell them, it's like, you know, you got to constantly be putting yourself in situations to battle 2-on-1, 1-on-1 with friends, whatever it is. You can do regressions where they're like sticks like this to make it easier. If you're not well practiced within the move, give a little bit more space, whatever. But try to really get involved in those games where you're in tight quarters constantly, where that's your comfort zone. Like you see guys like Crosby, like he'd rather be close to you than far from you, because he knows he can create more separation that way. He invites the pressure. He'll literally like back and front into people, and then just be like, come on, let's go.
We'll teach the same sort of thing. We'll get players sometimes to put hands on hip, and like while you're stick handling, you're feeling pressure, and how do you escape that? We're trying to teach combinations. So like if I'm stepping into a deke, maybe you start with a toe drag, exit with a spin, or whatever it might be, and going from back facing to front facing. I've never heard it expressed in that way, so I'll have to think about some drills and how to best teach that.
I think the biggest separator I always teach, it's at the top of my priority level, is just directional changes. You know, just punch turns. Guys like Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon, their ability to, you know, punch turn and then turn out of it, crossover out of it, and separate, or keep that gap at the very, very least. It just gives you so much more confidence. And you talk about the importance of like sustained zone pressure and sustained zone possession time with the puck. That's the ability that gets that. You get your zone entry, you get them deep, you do your punch turn, circle back. If you can extend that possession time extra 5 to 7 seconds, it's so unbelievably valuable on your thing. And then like Quinn Hughes, same thing. It's just like these guys are so good at just like, they have the puck, heads up, taking their shoulder checks, and it's punch, 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 and they're just, you know, buying time and space from. If you can find ways to be just more efficient within that punch turn, accelerate out, turning on a tighter dime, accelerating at a faster speed. I couldn't tell you to do that drill enough. Like just setting up 2 pucks, you can time yourself, you can make little games where it's like punch turn, who gets in the net fastest, whatever you need to do, make it fun.
You're just doing a little figure eight.
Because it's a bagger. Like it's a bagger. It's not a fun skill to do necessarily. We can make it fun, but it's like, it's a bagger. But it's the most important skill when you get in games, just like changing direction with that puck. It's tough too, because it's like the amount you shave the ice is dependent on the amount of speed you have going into it. Because if you're going like really, really fast, if you barely like shave the ice, and it just takes too long. Right? Versus if I was going slower, if I'm like this, that's not that bad. I actually want to shave less because
Yeah.
then I turn faster. So it's play around with that shave and
Yep.
how much pressure you need to put into it
Yeah.
at varying speeds
Yeah.
to be able to get to where you want to go to faster.
So it's beyond impressive. You, like, when you demonstrated over here, just that slip underneath your body, how quick it was and how smooth, just how quickly you separated, just like in doing the punch and then exiting with crossovers. And I think it's just like the way that you're describing the basics, but just in such a perfect, it's such a, obviously you're such a pro at it.
Thanks,
so,
man.
Yeah, we're
Thanks.
so thankful. When you're doing the punch, how I'll teach it is basically, this is helping you change, stop and change direction on a dime, but then the C-cut is helping you actually keep your momentum up
Yes.
and change direction,
Yep.
as opposed to a 2-foot stop or too big of a turn if they're both ripping.
Yeah.
Would you teach sort of the same way?
Similar
or
thing. Like
incidentally?
I get people to just be like, you know, most of the time when they're just learning, they'll accidentally go like that
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
do a hockey stop turn.
Right, yeah.
So you teach them like just one foot does the shaving of the ice and the other one just let it come for the ride and see
Yeah.
where you go. So we do
Right.
that and it's like let the right foot go and then
Yeah.
just let the other one come for a ride. See what happens.
Yeah.
And like I tell kids all the time, like when we do this, like we're just trying to get to this position, right? So that we can cross over
out.
out. Right, so that shave is like if you're going down like a steep hill with your car and there's a turn at the end of it.
Yeah.
Before it turns, if there's a cliff off there, it's going to have to hit the brakes a bit
Yeah.
to be able to hit that turn. It's like similar thing, right? It's like
Yeah.
we're just trying to decelerate to be able
Right.
to turn on a tighter line and keep as much momentum as we can possibly have coming out of that turn. So
Right.
we kind of tell kids that, or it's like that's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
It can be multifunctional. It can be like not to do a complete turn. It can be just change direction as you were illustrating. Like you can do a punch to just like get here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or you can do a punch where it's like actually
A full,
going
yeah.
to a full turn.
Yeah.
And having accuracy within that to do that punch and get to exactly where you want to go to is difficult.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
the start. So like a good drill we do for that is just like, getting them without the puck and they just go left foot, right foot.
Yeah.
And it's just shave, shave, shave,
Yeah.
shave. And they're just feeling that shave.
Yeah.
Christian Grunna, actually, if you've seen him, he's probably the best at this I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He'll like hold that shave
Yeah.
for an extended period of time. He'll go and then push.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
important to be
I've
able
seen
to do that because it gives you so much confidence underneath you.
As you're speaking, I'm like, okay, is this one the decelerator and this one's the accelerator?
Pretty much,
You
like,
know?
yeah, like that's gonna be what's gonna initiate your crossover is
Yeah.
that C-cut, and then when you get to that, outside edge, that's your secondary push
Yeah,
out of
correct.
that crossover. So yeah, that's the kind of accelerator. Doing that C-cut allows you to keep your momentum
Yeah.
after the shave.
Pavel, thank you so much for your time and your
Absolutely,
expertise. Yeah, really appreciate that. Obviously, I got so much out of it and learned so much, and I'll take it to my camps and be able to teach it. But obviously, I'm sure everyone that was watching as well too learned so much. Thank you so much. So delighted to meet you. And yeah, thank you for your time.
My pleasure, man.
Yeah.
This is awesome.